Hi everyone, Marcia Stevenson. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'd like to show you how you can harvest your herbs at the end of the season so that you have herbs to cook with all winter long. This is the time of year when my herbs have been growing all season long. They've gotten, really big in the containers. I haven't been able to harvest them all and use them all season, but I hate to see them go to waste. I love the idea of having these herbs available this winter so that I can use them in soups, stews, even my stuffing for Thanksgiving this year. First step is to come out and cut some of the herbs that you want to use to save for the winter. So just come out and cut. I usually have a container ready to go so I can rinse right in that same container and clean them real easily. So just take the cuttings and put them in the container. Next step is to rinse off all of your herbs. You want to make sure to get off any bugs or pests that might have been on them. So just rinse through and clean them off as best you can. The next step is to dry them, and I dry them on a flat cloth and just let them sit over a little bit of time till they dry, just depending on the type of leaf it is, how big it is. Sometimes I'll pat it dry as well with a paper towel, but just give the herbs time to dry. It just is going to vary depending on the type of herb it is and the leaf size. The next step is to pull off the leaves from the stem because you don't want the hard stem. And I like to do this with my fingers because I just love the sort of aromatherapy feel that this has. It just smells so good as I'm doing it. But there's other ways that you can do it. But that simply, it's quick and easy to just pull it and strip the leaves off of the main stem. Another fun way to do it is to stick the stem through the hole and pull, and the leaves will just pop right off into your colander. So it's a really easy, quick way to do it as well. The herbs with the larger leaves, I just like to hand pick at the top of the stem. Just pull off the larger leaf at each of the tops of the stems and you're good to go. You can probably also do this through the colander as well, depending on the size of the hole and whether it's going to fit. Unfortunately, that one's a little too big. Let's see if this one will work. Simple. The herbs that I'm working with today are parsley, sage, oregano, thyme, and rosemary. And I'm going to do a mixture of them together, but you can also do them individually as well. So if you just want one particular herb or a mixture of one or two, you have options. You can do whatever you like. So the next step is to chop up all your herbs into fine chunks, really small as best you can. And again, if you were doing an individual herb, I do them individually one at a time, and then I put them into these cups so that I can have them prepared and separately. But for this grouping, I'm just doing a mixture of what we just pulled off all together. So the method that we're actually using today is to do freezer. We're going to freeze the herbs. So what I'm going to do is take freezer cubes or ice cube trays and fill them up about 3/4 of the way with the herbs. So you do that. And if you were doing, like in this case, it's the mix, but if you were doing the individuals, you would just do pinches of the various ones that you wanted to mix together. You could also add fresh garlic if you wanted to as well. The next step is to pour in olive oil just to the top of the ice cube tray. Now you can also use melted butter. That's another easy way to do it. Just melt your stick of butter. I would prefer to use butter that's unsalted because I like to add salt to my dishes separately, so you don't end up with too much salt. And then once these are filled, you cover them with plastic wrap and pop them in your freezer. So these are ones that I made about a week or so ago. I've got cubes that are frozen of pesto. I've got some herbs in butter and some herbs that are in olive oil. So what you do next is, now these don't pop out typically like normal ice cubes. You can't just twist and turn. I just use a little bit of a little knife in there and go around the edges, and then they will pop out. And then what you want to do is plop them into a freezer bag and then just mark your freezer bag with what they are so that you'll know when you're ready to cook in the winter what you've got and what you want to add. So after you put them in the Ziploc bags, make sure to mark the bag. And these are pesto, so I'm just going to mark them pesto and then put the whole thing in the freezer and you're good to go. There's other ways too that you can dry the herbs at the end of the season. Just take cuttings, wrap the ends, hang them upside down in a cool, dark place. Again, depending on the size of the leaf. the smaller leaved herbs will dry faster, and certainly the other larger ones take a little bit longer, but anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. And you'll have dried herbs that you can then put in glass containers and use throughout the rest of the season.